The 49ers continue to try to solve their woes at center, this time by dipping back into a familiar well, signing Alex Mack to a 1-year deal or a 3-year deal, depending on where you look. Apparently, it's a 3-year deal. If the Niners are talking about it, it seems to be a 1-year deal everywhere else. Either way, Alex Mack is someone who is in the twilight of his career and may still be able to solidify the position, though, just simply because of his health. We're going to take a look at just his 2020 tape, though, because we want to really show you the Alex Mack that the 49ers are getting rather than show you the Alex Mack of years ago. So we're going to give you 6 plays that show you what he still does at a really high level and some things to maybe watch out for as he becomes a starting center for San Francisco. And we'll start with an outside zone that shows off some of his movement skills because even as an old guy, well, old for football terms, he's still got them.
Still has it, right? Yeah. So I think this is a good one. So obviously not gonna highlight him every time here. He's gonna be the center in each of these clips. But we get to see when he gets out in space. So like one of the nice things here is you get him not being covered, right? On the defensive line, there's nobody there. So he's got a kind of a free run up to the linebacker. We get to see some of these athletic traits on display. And it actually is even better job, even a more difficult assignment than normal because the Panthers linebackers here are kind of doing a little twist. So you can see him pass off 54 here initially to the guard and still work his way up to 52 and get him covered up and then eventually driven completely out of the play there as he continues to drive him well after it's over. So this is the type of thing, like this is, I think, a very solid, like well executed block and something that I think we absolutely should be able to expect from him on a pretty consistent basis.
One of the other things that a center may have to do in the outside zone run scheme, though, is work a double team and then come off of that double team and get to that second level. And that's exactly what Alex Mack does in this second play. Similarly, an outside zone, but in this case, he is going to hit that double team first and still get to that second level, executing another type of block here in the outside zone that a center will often have to make.
There we go. Finally almost had a little video issue here. But yeah, so he's going to be work first on the double team here with the left guard, and then they're working up to 54 here. And so it's going to kind of depend on where 54 ends up fitting as to who is going to kind of come off and pick him up. And so you can see after they engage, well, let's just go and let it run once. But you can see 54 is kind of late, to declare what gap he's going to get to. And so you see Mack and the guard really do a great job of sticking with the first level defender for as long as possible, right? And then once 54 kind of slides off there, you see Mack is able to then pass off the defensive lineman to the guard and come back off and get the reach and seal off 54 there. And so even though, this run only picks up 4 yards or whatever, this is still from just purely Mack's perspective, you're right, a very well executed kind of more typical block that you're going to see on a lot of outside zone plays.
And in both this play and the last play, it's pretty clear that Mack is able to, with some sauce there at the end, love that. It's clear that he is very quick to react to what he sees in front of him, and he's able to adjust accordingly. I mean, he's able on that first play to tackle stunting linebackers or twisting linebackers, and here he's able to, at the very last second, kind of peel off and put Kendricks there on his ass, which is great. It's exactly what you want to see from your center. Now we get to the third play in the series, and this is what, the much ballyhooed reach block that you'll hear often in Shanahan's system when they're talking about run game, his running game. And this is something that he made famous in Atlanta in 2016. Doesn't show up on tape as often now, but he still has a couple in the clip that he empties out over the course of a game.
Yeah, so, every once in a while, and I think, especially when you have, I think, a center of max ability, right, you feel a little bit more comfortable allowing the center to take some of these blocks one-on-one. But you can see, even though, you get the D tackle here that kind of bumps down into this 2-eye late, this is still a big reach, right, so they're going to end up running outside zone here to the right. Mack needs to get all the way around to this outside shoulder of the D tackle there and kind of get him sealed off. And so a lot of times what you'll see is like here, right? This is kind of the position that they'll just hold, and they'll kind of continue to run down the line of scrimmage like that, which is still going to be like, that would be a success for Mack, right? He's got him covered up. He's got his head on the right side. He's going to make it difficult for the D tackle to get across him and make a play on the ball carrier. But that extra level, right, the kind of more special play that Mack used to do with, I think, a little bit more regularity, is getting those hips all the way around. So you see him now get fully on the play side of that D tackle and then halt progress right here, right? You can kind of see him anchor a little bit. And I think a good marker, because it can even still here look like he gets pushed back a little bit, right? It can be kind of deceiving on these outside zone plays. But if you see where he's at kind of here, and then look at the left guard and left tackle, their blocks are basically running right into his, right? Their level is at the same is his, rather than them kind of, continuing to move across the field this way in roughly the same sort of splits that they have here to start with. So he's able to hold up his guy to the point that blockers further back behind the line on the backside are running into his block. And so he's just basically taken this guy completely out of the play.
So Alex Mack is one of the best run blocking centers in football, even at this stage in his career. And the types of blocks that Shanahan will ask him to do are ones that he can execute to a high level and has. Now, in 2020, though, pass protection was not really his strength. This is where he took a notable dip compared to his previous performance. And so the next three plays that we're going to the next two plays really that we're going to look at are some of the issues that he had in pass protection last year. And this first play is just going to be a late reaction to a stunt where he does not pick it up, and he effectively lets a free rusher go, if not for some good fancy work from his fellow lineman.
Yeah, so I think a lot of his issues in pass pro came down to one of two things, right? And this is definitely the first one, which is stunts and just kind of being able to redirect and get to a lot of times the looper, right? So passing off kind of the first guy and getting to the guy coming around next. And so here you're going to see 97 kind of look to penetrate, and really he wants to eat up both of these guys here first. And then you're going to get 99 here looping around to this other A gap. And so Mack and the right guard here actually does a really good job. So Mack needs to control this guy because he's kind of engaging, right? They're setting here first. So Mack needs to control 97 here until the guard really is able to take that off. But you can see here, the guard at this point has recognized a stunt. He redirects back in, and Mack still is several steps late, right? And so by the time he finally gets over there or attempts to get over there, it's kind of too late. 99's already by and through the gap, and really the only thing that saves it is the left guard kind of keeping his eyes peeled and peeling back to a block that really he should have no responsibility for, right? He's not going to be involved with the way that they're setting here in any one of these three guys that the Raiders are rushing here. And so they get a little bit lucky that he can get just enough to kind of slow him up on the way to Ryan, but Mack being a little bit late to kind of pass off these stunts and get to his guy was something that crept up a good amount last year.
The next play is going to be a play where Alex Mack just gets walked back into his center's lap. And it looks like he just doesn't get a really good punch on this initial engagement and then just ends up getting walked back in a play that does not bode well for soft pressure up the middle if you're hoping that the center of the line is going to get solidified.
Yeah, so the second one, and this was something, and we're going to get to one more play, after this as well, but like the play strength is something that wasn't showing up with regularity. And so you can see here, let it run kind of full speed. But you can see just how far he gets walked back. He gets clearly off balance. I mean, by the time the ball's thrown here, he's basically at the same depth the quarterback is, which is never a good thing, right? So he wants to give a nice, firm pocket there for the quarterback to be able to step up into. And just this was just a problem. When if a guy was able to get into his chest like this, it was kind of just over. There wasn't really much that he could do as far as recovery or kind of re-anchoring to be able to save that play. The only thing here, right, this is the only reason this play is still a success for the Falcons is because Ryan is getting the ball out before that D lineman can do any damage.
Yeah, he gave up 25 pressures last year. And while that wasn't a career high by any stretch, when he was really, really at his peak, he was letting in maybe 15 pressures a game. It's one of those things to definitely watch out for if you're thinking that he's going to be a panacea as a pass rusher. But the last play is going to be one where it's going to be a different type of run concept that we've shown so far on this tape. So far, we've shown you a lot of outside zone. This is going to be a split zone. This is a more downhill running concept. And the 49ers have, especially the last couple of years, run more downhill concepts to really add a wider base of runs to their run game. We've talked about counters a lot. We've talked about the different things that they will run. And so it's not like the Niners are just going to go straight back to outside zone with Alex Mack. How is he going to perform with this more varied set of runs? Well, in this case, we're going to see a split zone that doesn't necessarily end super well because of some of those play strength items that we've been identifying so far.
Right. So like in the first few run clips, right, we really get to see the athleticism and we get to see him and the movement skills. And that's really what leads to the success of those blocks, right? When he's tasked more with needing to kind of drive a guy off the ball. So here you have a nose tackle that's basically head up on him. And they're going to be running a split zone concept kind of to the left, but it's meant to peel back kind of like this, right? So he's going to start left and then it's going to look to hit to the right side of Mack. And so what his job is to push this nose tackle left, right? He needs to get that guy sealed over to this gap. It's not a typical zone play where you kind of like, could be either or, and it's less of a predefined point of attack. Like here, it's very clear they're pulling the fullback back this way. The back is bending backwards the entire time. But you can see again, Mack lets the nose tackle into his chest, and here he's kind of stood up. And it's ball game, right? He just gets tossed aside, and that nose is getting in on a tackle for no gain. So a lot of his negative plays in the run game were this same sort of thing, right? Where it's just a play strength issue where he's not able to, use his athleticism to his advantage. It's just not a run concept that allows for that to happen. And this was true. So we mentioned on the podcast that he was still one of the highest graded zone blocking centers in the run game. But when you started to look at some of those power and counter plays where you are looking for more movement based strength type blocks from your center, like those weren't as good. And so I think this is a big reason why, is because he's just kind of struggling with that play strength at this point in his career.
All in all, I think Alex Mack is going to be an upgrade at center, if only because he is going to be available to play. This is a guy who's played 1,000 snaps from 2015 to 2019. He played over 1,000 snaps every single year, and last season he played 986. So even if he's able to give you the same level of performance as someone like a Dan Brunskill, and based on overall his season, he's roughly in that same area, because he's going to be able to be there and because he's got such a good head on his shoulders, I think he will be an upgrade for the San Francisco 49ers. So that does our scouting report for Alex Mack. Thanks again for tuning in, and as always, go Niners.